Thank you so much, and it is a great privilege to be here. And it's a privilege to be on the same podium as representatives of other faiths. But I reflect that the climate has no religion. We breathe the same air. This is an issue that goes beyond all of our divisions. It goes beyond our politics. The oxygen we breathe is neither left-wing nor right-wing. We rely on a stable atmosphere on this planet, whether we stay in the EU or not. And we have two people campaigning to be Prime Minister who are arguing not about that question, but about the date on which we leave the European Union. We have to look beyond that. Our politics is stuck with these issues about Brexit. We have to look much deeper. The climate is an issue that is fundamental, that transcends all of the rest of the things we usually debate. We have to put that at the centre of our thoughts, the centre of our lives, and the centre of our politics. But I stand here not as another ranting climate campaigner, although that was a bit of a rant, wasn't it? I stand here as a Buddhist, as a faith representative, and the question is really what we have to say as people of faith that's distinctive. What can I say as a Buddhist that stands out? So in my own life, I am guided, or at least I seek to be guided, by the Buddha's teachings, and particularly these words, which I invite you to listen to with full attention, from a discourse on the Discourse on Loving Kindness. That's a Buddhist text, the Metta Sutta. The Buddha says, even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so, with a boundless heart, should one cherish all living beings. So, many of us are parents. I would do anything for my son. But the climate emergency means that in order to protect my son's future, I have to do something about protecting the planet. I recently went with him to see Avengers Endgame. Have you seen it? Well, a lot of us have. And superheroes come to the rescue of humanity, which is facing an apocalypse. I don't know how to tell my son that in the face of a real apocalypse, no one is shooting through space to rescue us. We can't turn back time and make it all right. That's a spoiler for those of you who haven't seen it. We must act. And we are the ones who must act. The time is now, is the slogan of this event. We must fight for the planet with the fierce commitment of a mother protecting her only child. I want to pick up on something that Dr. Williams is saying. The crisis also challenges us to understand ourselves more deeply. And I think that means with wisdom, as Dr. Williams said, and with compassion. Biology tells us that the planet is an interconnected web. Now, that is the truth, so far as we can understand it. But it's not how we see things. We need to practice. We need to find the resources in our faiths that enable us to see that. That enable us to see that in our hearts and in our souls, that if we want to care for ourselves, we want to care for our children, we want to care for our nations, we must care for all living beings. And we must care for the environment that all living beings on this planet require. That must be our practice, to see life that way, to see life with compassion. And that will be our true gift to the world as people of faith. We can add our voices to the climate protests, but really it's in the first place we must fight is in our own hearts, our own minds, to understand life and to experience life in a way that is naturally compassionate. People sometimes think that Buddhists sit around contemplating our navels. I don't know how to do that meditation practice. But I do believe that effective action comes when we are in touch with a sense of mindfulness and compassion, and that those things do lie deep within us. So I think I have time just to invite you to pause, to settle for a moment, just for a moment, as we did at the start. And to breathe. Breathe in the air on which we all depend, which we share. And just consider how it feels to be still when we're dwelling on these profound challenges, and to bring to mind what we most truly believe in, what we love, our family, our God, the vast beauty of nature, and feel it. Feel and let that love spread from here to everyone in the world, and to all beings, not just human ones. So, as we draw this period of reflection to a close, let us gather our strength. So I've been asked to speak for Buddhists, though of course we must all speak for ourselves. So I raise a Buddhist voice for the sake of our health, our natural environment, our future generations. The government has acted well in committing to eliminating carbon emissions by 2050. But this must be a core tenet of public policy, not just something added on. I live in Wales. We have a very interesting piece of legislation there called the Wellbeing of Future Generations Act, which says that every act of the Welsh Government has to take into account a number of criteria which together guarantee or value the well-being of future generations. We need that for the UK as a whole. We need to see that a sustainable society is also a more equal and just society. We need to work internationally. We need to urge the government to work internationally so we don't just export our emissions to the countries from which we import our goods. And as members of faith communities, we must work with our communities to restore the natural environment. We must make that a shared national project. So I appeal to you, I invite you as people of faith. Today we will speak to parliamentarians, but let us commit here and now to continuing this work well beyond today. Let us do that for the sake of the planet, for the sake of our children, for the sake of all sentient beings. The time is now.